Mike Tyson sits on a couch in his New Jersey mansion. The 30th of September 1988. Cameras surround him. Barbara Walters, the most famous interviewer in America, sits across from him. His wife, Robin Givens, sits next to him. Mike's arm is draped around her shoulders. He looks calm, almost peaceful. He has no idea that in the next 15 minutes, 60 million people will watch his wife destroy him on national television, and he will sit there, silent, because at 22 years old, the baddest man on the planet doesn't know he's being set up. Mike Tyson is 3 years removed from the greatest loss of his life. Cus D'Amato, the only father figure he ever knew, died in November 1985. Mike was 19. Since then, everything has been falling apart in slow motion. He fired Kevin Rooney, Cus's protege, the trainer who understood Cus's system. He signed with Don King, the promoter who's stealing millions from him, though Mike doesn't know the full extent yet. He married Robin Givens in February 1988, a shotgun wedding after knowing her less than a year. And now, 7 months into marriage, he's sitting on this couch, thinking this interview will help. Thinking this will make people understand their relationship. Thinking if he just stays quiet and lets Robin explain, everything will be okay. He's wrong. Barbara Walters is a master. She's made presidents cry. She's broken down the most guarded celebrities. She knows how to ask questions that sound gentle but cut deep. And tonight, she's not interviewing Mike Tyson, the heavyweight champion. She's interviewing Robin Givens, the actress who married him. Mike is just sitting there, a prop in his own destruction. Barbara asks Robin about the marriage. Robin doesn't hesitate. Her answer is immediate, rehearsed, devastating. She says, living with Mike Tyson has been torture, pure hell. Worse than anything she could possibly imagine. Mike doesn't move. His arm stays around Robin's shoulders. His face stays neutral. But inside, something is breaking. Because the woman he loves, the woman he married, the woman he gave everything to, just told the world that being with him is hell, on national television, while he sits right there. Barbara pushes further. She asks about Mike's temper. Robin nods, describes it as extremely volatile, says people see it about every 3 months, says there's a side to Mike that's scary, says Michael is intimidating, to say the least. Mike still doesn't speak, doesn't defend himself, doesn't interrupt, just sits there, arm around the woman who's destroying him, listening to her tell millions of people that he's terrifying. Then Barbara asks the question everyone wants answered. Does Mike hit you? Robin's response is careful, calculated. She says he shakes her, pushes her, swings at her. Says sometimes she thinks he's trying to scare her. Then she adds the part that matters most. There were times when she thought she could handle it, and just recently, she's become afraid. Very, very much afraid. She mentions Russia, says she was afraid there. Then she says something that will follow Mike for decades. She calls him a manic depressive on national television, diagnoses her husband in front of 60 million people. Mike knows he's manic depressive. A week before this interview, the New York Post quoted him admitting to the diagnosis. He agreed to therapy after talks with Robin and her mother, Ruth Roper. But hearing it said like this, in Robin's voice, with that tone, makes it sound like a weapon, makes it sound like she's the victim of a crazy man. And Mike sits there, silent. Because he doesn't know what to say, doesn't know how to fight a battle like this. In the ring, he knows what to do. Someone swings, you slip, you counter, you destroy. But this? Words as weapons? Emotions as ammunition? He has no training for this. Barbara asks what happened in Russia. Robin describes Mike chasing her and her mother through a Moscow hotel lobby. Says it was terrifying. Says she didn't know what he'd do. Then she pivots, talks about her mother. Says she doesn't know what Mike Tyson would be without her mother. Says Ruth has been the glue keeping them together. Mike listens to this, processes it. The woman who's supposed to be his wife, telling the world she needs her mother to stay with him, telling the world he's so difficult, so impossible, that without Ruth Roper, Robin would leave. Then Barbara asks about the car crash. 4 days before they flew to Russia, 2.5 weeks before this interview, Mike crashed his BMW into a tree near his training camp in Catskill. Broke his hand in the crash, the same hand he broke 2 weeks earlier fighting Mitch Green on a Harlem street at 4 a.m. Mike was hospitalized for 3 days. The Daily News reported it as a suicide attempt. Said Mike called Robin before the crash, told her he was going to go out and kill himself, going to crash his car. Robin tells Barbara that Mike did it to prove his love, to show her he cared. Barbara nods, understanding, sympathetic to Robin, not to Mike, never to Mike. Mike sits there, listening to his suicide attempt being reframed as a romantic gesture gone wrong, listening to the worst moment of his life being discussed on national television like it's a character flaw, like he's the problem, like Robin is the victim trying to save a broken man. Finally, Barbara turns to Mike, asks him directly, "What would happen if Robin asked for a divorce?" Mike's response is telling. He says his wife would just have to ask for it, and she has every penny he has. Says she can leave right now, take everything, just leave. Says she has the right to do it, the power to do it. The desperation in those words is obvious. He's not saying fight for the marriage. He's saying if you want to leave, leave. Take it all, just decide. The emotional exhaustion is audible. He's 22 years old, orphaned, manipulated, medicated, sitting on national television while his wife tells the world he's hell to live with. And his response is surrender. The interview ends. The cameras stop. Mike and Robin are alone. And then Mike explodes. Not at Robin, at himself, at the situation, at everything. He throws a chair against the wall. Screams. Rages. All the emotion he couldn't show on camera comes flooding out now. He felt bushwhacked, shanghaied, set up, and he was. Robin and her mother and the handlers and Don King and everyone around him knew this interview was a setup. Knew Robin would attack him. Knew Mike wouldn't defend himself. Knew the world would watch the baddest man on the planet sit silent while his wife destroyed him. 1 month later, Robin filed for divorce. October 1988. The marriage lasted exactly 1 year. Robin became known as the most hated woman in America for what she did on that couch. But the damage to Mike was done. The interview didn't just end a marriage. It ended an era. It killed the myth of Mike Tyson as invincible, because the world saw something that night that changed everything. They saw Mike Tyson could be hurt, not with punches, with words. Not in the ring, on a couch, not by an opponent, by the woman he loved. 16 months later, the 11th of February 1990, Mike Tyson walks into a ring in Tokyo to fight Buster Douglas, a 42-1 underdog. And Mike loses, gets knocked out in the 10th round. First loss of his career, the biggest upset in boxing history. People ask how it happened, how the invincible Mike Tyson lost to a journeyman nobody expected to last 3 rounds. The answer isn't in the ring. It's on that couch. The Mike Tyson who fought Buster Douglas wasn't the same Mike Tyson who destroyed the division in 1986 and 1987. That Mike had cuss, had Kevin Rooney, had structure, had belief. The Mike who fought Douglas was the Mike who sat on a couch while his wife called him hell. The Mike who lost cuss, who lost his trainers, who lost his money to Don King, who lost his wife to manipulation. The Mike who broke. In 2010, Mike Tyson returned to The View to talk with Barbara Walters again. 22 years after that interview, Barbara asked why he stayed expressionless when Robin accused him of abuse. Mike's answer was simple. He was a young kid then, got shanghaied in the moment, was just bushwhacked there. He was in his junkie stage, probably sedated from medication during the interview. He doesn't blame Robin for the marriage ending, doesn't call her names, just acknowledges what happened. He was 22, she was 23. They were babies playing adult games with adult consequences. In 2022, Mike appeared on the Pivot podcast. The hosts brought up the 1988 Barbara Walters interview, asked about it. Mike's response was even simpler than 2010. He said 3 words: "Can't do it on television." That's it. That's the whole lesson distilled into 5 words. Can't do it on television. Can't expose yourself like that. Can't let someone weaponize your vulnerability in public. Can't fight psychological warfare on a couch with cameras running and 60 million people watching. Some battles you can't win in public. Some pain shouldn't be televised. Some relationships need to die in private. Mike Tyson learned that lesson the hardest way possible, sitting on a couch with his arm around a woman who was destroying him, silent, because he thought staying quiet meant being strong, because he thought if he just let her speak, people would understand. Because he was 22 years old and had no parents and no cuss and no one to tell him, "Don't do this. This is a trap. They're setting you up." The Barbara Walters interview wasn't just bad television. It was the public execution of Iron Mike's invincibility. Every opponent who fought him after that interview saw what the world saw. Mike Tyson can be hurt, not with uppercuts or hooks or jabs, with words, with manipulation, with psychological warfare. And once that invincibility is gone, once the myth is broken, once the world sees you can bleed, you can never get it back. People remember the Buster Douglas knockout. Remember the mouthpiece on the canvas. Remember the referee counting to 10. Remember the biggest upset in sports history. But the fight was lost 16 months earlier, on a couch, in New Jersey, on the 30th of September 1988, the night Mike Tyson sat silent, while Robin Givens told 60 million people that living with him was pure hell. Can't do it on television. That's the lesson. Not don't trust people. Not don't love people. Not don't be vulnerable. Just don't do it on television. Don't expose your pain in public. Don't let someone use your love as a weapon in front of millions. Don't sit on a couch with cameras running while someone destroys you, because once it's on television, it's forever. Once 60 million people see you broken, you can't unbreak yourself. Mike Tyson knows this now. Took him decades to learn it. Took losing everything to understand it. But he understands it now. Can't do it on television. Some wounds need privacy to heal. Some battles need to be fought in private. Some pain is too raw, too real, too devastating to put on camera. Who in your life is asking you to expose yourself publicly? Who wants you to explain your pain on their stage? Who's setting up the couch and the cameras and the audience and asking you to just sit there and let them speak their truth about you? Because that's what Robin did. She spoke her truth. On camera. To 60 million people. While Mike sat there silent. And it destroyed him. Not immediately, but slowly, systematically, completely. The interview was the 30th of September 1988. The knockout was the 11th of February 1990. 16 months. That's how long it took for a couch to destroy what the ring couldn't. That's how long it took for words to do what punches never did. That's how long it took for psychological warfare to kill the baddest man on the planet. Can't do it on television. Mike Tyson learned that lesson. You don't have to.